Alright, so in the other video, the gentleman used an air chisel. I'm just going to use a chisel and a hammer, and we'll see what we get. Again, this is the Ospho with no special prep after it was applied other than just scuffing the surface with some 180 grit DA sander. So far, we're not seeing any delamination of the primer. I did rip it off a little bit there, but again, I'm doing what was done with the SPI. So the chisel got under and removed some of the paint, but I think it was more from the blade of the chisel, which it can be scratched. We could try bending it, see what happens. So the primer, the filler itself is coming off from the paint, but it's not taking the primer off the metal. The next piece, this was Ospho and it was washed off. The Ospho was re-wet, and then the Ospho was rinsed with water, or the metal was rinsed with water, and after that it was dried. And all of these were painted together at the same time. So very similar results. I don't think I would say that the Ospho in one situation is doing more harm or good than it did in the other. Kirker does claim that if it is Ospho treated or an acid treatment, that their primer adheres better. I don't know that I'm seeing that, but I'm certainly not seeing it adhere worse. Let's see. This is a piece of steel with no Ospho installed or applied. It was just simply, let me see my notes here, 180 grit, the DA sander, and that's what Kirker recommends, so that's what I did. Same kind of thing. We're not seeing the primer delaminate from the metal at all. The filler actually adheres really well considering. And then one last test here. This was Ospho and this was scuffed. It wasn't even sanded with 180. Ospho was applied and the metal was scuffed with something like a Scotch-Brite pad. Not seeing any real difference here in adhesion, at least for the paint, because that was the idea, not whether the filler would adhere, but would the would the paint adhere to the metal? I would think that without sanding 180, this is probably the worst adhesion I've seen. Yeah, it's a little softer. I can scrape it with my nail right here under the filler. But this was not per manufacturer spec because I didn't scuff it with 180. So, at least for my peace of mind, I feel like my entire card that's got Ospho on it, putting the Kirker primer over the Ospho without doing a full rinse, re-rinse of Ospho is not going to cause me any issues in terms of adhesion. I mean, my thumbnail can still, if I dig hard enough, I can scrape some of the primer off. But that's not a good test, right? Because we're not trying to see if a blade or a sharp edge will take it off. Anyway, we'll edit this and see how things look.